Hi everyone, welcome back to Student Pages Spotlight series. I'm your host Izzy, and today I'm joined by the amazing Kira Powell. Thank you so much for joining me today, and how are you doing?
Hi, good, thanks.
Good stuff. So, first of all, congratulations on your award-winning short film Best Eyes. How did your involvement with Best Eyes come about, and what drew you to take on a role as director?
Oh, wow. So it started with a one-woman show. So I began as an actor first, and I was exploring identity, specifically mine, Black and Latina. And so I did a whole one-woman show about it, and I directed it. I directed myself. So I performed it alone. I wrote it and directed it. And that inspired me to apply to a film school so I can get the training that I needed in order to make it into a film. So I got into AFI, and that's where I made Best Eyes, the short film. That was actually my thesis film. And so like it started, yeah, from a play and now is a film. But yeah, I like going through the program just like really inspired me. Not just to make this one film, but to direct other work. So now I'm like working on other stuff too and just continuing my directing path.
Awesome. And so you said you started out acting, but do you feel like you enjoy directing more? Or do you still feel like you'd like to enjoy a little bit of the acting side as well?
I mean, I love acting so much. It's always going to be like a big passion of mine, like no matter like whatever else I choose. They're definitely very related.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I had like the acting, skills and experience that I transferred into my directing. So I feel like they both like can coexist and I do like define myself as both. But yeah, like how it started was like my love for acting, which will always be there.
Definitely. And so how did you collaborate with your fellow producer to achieve the desired script for Best Eyes?
Yeah, so at AFI, there's like a whole like script writing, revision, notes process. So I actually started that script in one of my classes, and it was really like a feature development class, but we could also like work on other stuff. So a lot of us were working on our like thesis short scripts, and we send it into a committee and mine was chosen. And from that, they gave us notes, and I had to like revise the whole thing again. So with that, I attached a co-writer as well from like the screenwriting program. Fi's like in different disciplines. So I was in the directing discipline, she was in the screenwriting. So we co-wrote the script together. And from there, it just like evolved with all of like the sessions that we got for notes from people. And it went through like a whole trajectory. It was a pretty crazy process. I don't think that's very like usual, but it's kind of like how we go through it at that school. And it's like a huge learning experience. Yeah. And by the time like our producer came on, we'd had like a pretty strong script already. And then we just kind of like, yeah, honed it down until our shoot date. But there was like, yeah, a lot of preparation beforehand. But then by the time we got on set, like I felt like, yeah, very comfortable with what we were doing because we had like that prep time.
Mm, definitely awesome. And so what drew you to filmmaking? Can you explain your process of how you use to create a visual story arc for your films and what drew you to this world?
Yeah, I mean, I've always like had like curiosity for it. Like I grew up just like loving like watching a lot of films. Like my family, especially my dad, would always like just always be watching like all sorts of different films and like on a VHS tapes and just like I would like rewatch a whole bunch of things. So I was always like very interested in film in general, but like the acting part is what really drew me in first. And from there, I also like majored in mass communication at school. So I did a little bit of like production and writing. And so all the skills that I gained through life, like just kind of all like came together. And the together made it into like filmmaking. So
Mm,
like even like my theater later in life, like the acting part, I gained experience in that. I gained experience writing and production and like putting everything together equals filmmaking. So it's just, yeah, it's interesting to like look back at my path, even though like I didn't necessarily know like one day I'm going to like direct. Like I just like followed that like and all the pieces just came together. So yeah, I mean, I do like have like such a passion for it because it feels like it's my life, really. It's all like I've been doing my whole life and yeah, there's just something about it that is inspiring me in telling like my own stories, other people's stories, and just like connecting humanity. I feel like that's what filmmaking is to me.
Yeah, awesome. And so you've brought together an incredibly talented cast and crew, including Lauren Thomas, Tara Austin, Adam Foster Ballard, Jackie Cruz, and Hal Dion. How do you manage such a large cast and crew to ensure that everyone is working towards the same vision?
Well, at AFI, we were supposed to like team up with our other disciplines. And so there's like the producing discipline, the screenwriting, editing, cinematography, and production design. So we'd have like our own team of AFI peers. Because we were doing like different films before that, people knew like who they wanted to work with,
Mm,
and who they wanted to bring on. So it did end up being a pretty like hefty crew, but we somewhat knew each other because we worked with each other before.
mm.
So there was that like trust built. And once you have that, I feel like everything it just comes together. Like it really is just about trusting each other and trusting other people's choices, and who they bring on. So I really trusted Tara and she brought in some really great people along with her. I trusted my other teammates. Yeah, and it just like even though there were a lot of like obstacles as all like indie filmmaking has, like I felt like because we had such a strong bond that we were able to like get through it all together.
Yeah, I love it. You built your own community.
Yeah, yeah, it did feel like a family. It was, yeah.
Oh, that's really nice
Nice.
though. That's lovely.
hmm
And so, can you describe your approach to directing actors and bringing out authentic performances?
Yeah, so with that's my favorite part, just as an actor, and now like being on the other side, and just like understanding like the actor's preparation. And I also just like I didn't want to do too much. A lot of directors, I feel like, try to like direct a little too much because like not every note is helpful to an actor. I think like it's about just giving them space to like find their own process and give them so it's really about like that balance of like really knowing what you want out of a performance but also like giving them space to like create and play with it. So a lot of like even on set there was a lot of play, and just like trying new things. And in my work, it's important for me to have that kind of like improvisational feel to it, even though if it's not improvised, there's like, the screenplay, but the feeling has to be in the moment and everyone has to be present. In order to do that, you have to create an environment of being present and like being in the now. And that's like reducing any sort of like anxiety or result oriented kind of like acting and directing, and more about just being there for each other in the now. So that's the kind of like space I like to create on my sets. And if any actor like needs their own time to themselves before jumping on when we shoot, like we have like separate rooms, so that they can go in and prepare if they want to be alone or bring another actor, and then they step out on set. But the rehearsals for me are important to really a lot talk about the wants and what we're doing in the scenes and kind of just like breaking it down so that on set the actors are not in their head. That's like
Mm.
what's very like important. And also like the relationships, like we have like the mother-daughter relationship, the friend relationship, so that giving them time to like at least if they don't know each other to introduce each other, and then as a director like I can feel the energy that they have together first meet. Some people like really bond right away, and I saw that the child and the mother, my actresses, like just right away like really connected, and I was like, yes, like that's like exactly like the feel. So I felt like, yeah, like just like observe, there's a lot of observing, and a lot of like trying new things.
Yeah, definitely. I bet that's really lovely to see these connections spark as
Hmm.
well from the outside perspective rather than acting in it as well. And so, how do you work with an editor to shape the final version of your film?
That's like one of my favorite parts, and I just love my editor so much. So we had like so much fun. She's really great, like with her instincts. So
Mm.
like she would shape the film and had also a strong understanding of what it was that I was trying to say because we'd gone through this whole process together and my teammates like were involved in like talking about the story. So that was also great. It wasn't like she solely just, edited it, but she was also like very present in our meetings when we're talking about story. So
Mhm.
she understood the depth of it. And I think that's why when she received the material, she was able to really like edit, make something for me that I felt like was in the right direction. And what I did was like, help like tweak things that I felt were important. So when we worked together, it was just like very strong because we like trusted each other, and respected each other's expertise now that we've gone through the program. And I think that's like the only way we can work is like putting like our own egos aside and really like listening to somebody else and their choices. And even if you had like another vision in mind, maybe their vision is better. And it's just like,
Mhm.
oh, I think this would be like a better tweak. This would help tell the story a little better. And like listening to that because like everyone has like such strong instincts, and I think as a director it's like really important to like listen. So that process was like really fun to like shape the film afterwards because like yeah, you can really shape it however you want. No matter like what you get like on set. So like that was really fun process for me.
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, it sounds incredible. And so, what is the production that you would most like to work on next?
Well, right now I'm writing a psychological drama slash leaning horror feature. And I'm like really excited about that because I also dabble in genre. Like I did a short that was like a horror short that premiered at Screamfest. And this is like an expansion of those themes. And like it's about like a mother who's like really trying hard to protect her child. And it balances that kind of like what is love when it's mixed with like an environment of fear or an environment of chaos. Like how do you like protect a child when you're also like struggling to protect yourself and
Mm.
those kind of themes. So I think like exploring that in a little like more of like a genre space is exciting for me. So that's what I'm working on next.
Amazing, exciting stuff. And so, from the entirety of your career, what would you say has been your most memorable moment so far?
A big one is my one woman show because that was like super scary. And then like doing it so many times and just like putting myself out there was like very
Mm.
vulnerable. But once I got through that, like I felt like I just grew so much as an artist because like
Mhm.
I put myself out there.
Yeah,
I felt
definitely.
like there was like no fear in anything else because I did the like most fearful thing ever. So that's like a big highlight. Also getting through the AFI program because it's like very intense and rigorous and I'm the type of person that just like observes and takes in a lot. So like I was like learning so much and I loved it because I love learning. And you also like learn by doing and I was doing so much. Like I directed 4 shorts the first year and then my big project the last year, but then like a couple of smaller projects too. So it was just like directing nonstop. So that was like a huge like just to be able to create nonstop like that is like very memorable to me.
Yeah, definitely. And so, what were your main inspirations that you drew from when you were directing the film Best Eyes?
When artists are really like speaking their truth and like personal stories, like so when I saw Moonlight and it was
Mm.
based on like the play Moonlight, I can feel the truth behind that and I felt like wow, like I have stories that, I can tell, and it's just about like being vulnerable and the bravery in telling that, really.
Mhm.
So that film, I know, like sparked that kind of inspiration in me to like do this, and especially like someone of color, like telling their stories. And while like writing Best Eyes, the truth and like honesty and other people like telling their stories is what inspires me to keep going. So I feel
Mhm.
like if I do that, like other people will feel also the same way I did. So like as I'm shooting and writing this project, the inspirations for me, we're seeing other people like being honest in their projects as well. And you can always tell like when something is personal and vulnerable and honest, because it's like not
Yeah.
perfect and you can see like,
Mhm.
people's flaws and see like, okay, like this person might, feel a little bit of embarrassment of having that out there, but that's when you know it's great.
Yeah, that's when it's the most impactful.
Yeah. Yeah. So anytime I feel like, oh no, this is embarrassing to share, I have to share it.
That pushes you to want to share it more.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. And so, how do you tackle directing a cast of all different diverse ages? What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was a little scary at first, just logistically. We're like, oh, like we only have the kids for like this certain amount of hours. Like, how are we gonna, make our day? If like, something happens or we need more time. But really like I really loved like working with the kids. Like I felt like they were very like present, and like
Mhm.
just I felt like open to like playing. And the hours thing, like, yeah, we're always going to feel like we wish could have more time with them. But however, my like producer and, crew, like we like made it work. I never really a moment felt like, oh no, I didn't get it because I needed to take her away, you know. So that fear kind of left. So just like, yeah, concentrating like on like working with them and just like making sure, I think the most important is that they like feel comfortable and that they trust me. So when I have those two things, I feel like, okay, now we can like relax and play and try things. But with kids, like that's like very, I mean, it's important with everyone, but with kids, like I felt like that was like the like very most important thing because
Yeah.
like they need to like trust you, feel comfortable with you, or you're not going to get like an organic performance.
Definitely. And it sounds like, just from what you said, that on set everyone became such a community, and it sounded like there's a lot of trust and like love for each other in a way, like just support for each other. So it sounds like an incredible experience. So when choosing the crew for this production, what is the most ideal quality that you look for?
Well, when choosing my team, like because this was such a personal story, I did want like people I didn't even necessarily want them to like really like understand it because, I'm not here to like teach people or like, but I did want them to feel like a connection to it in whatever way that they thought they could. That was like important because like when you're working on something that you have a connection to or like passionate about, like you bring more of yourself to it rather than like, what is this? Like I'm just like hired to do it. And I feel like it's not going to be there's not like love in it. So like finding like a team of people who felt, that they connected to it, there's something about it that they identified with, like they would also be passionate because it can't just be me, like it's a team like filmmaking process. It's like a community and we all are in service of this story. So really like story first. I'm like story first director. So yeah, you're not just like hired on to do like a specific logistical job. There's like the heart matters to me. Yeah, so it really is just, yeah, about that.
Just who you feel like you connect with the most as well, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, my final question for you today is, what is your number one piece of advice that you would give to anyone aspiring to work in film production or in acting, since you have experience in all fields?
I think like the biggest thing is to do it. to be brave enough to just step into it. I think that's where like a lot of people like think about filmmaking, they think about acting, but then that's where it stops
Mhm.
because it's a scary thing to like try it. And then years can go by and you don't like jump in a class or anything. So my main piece of advice is that because it's scary, it's scary to try something new and it's scary to put yourself out there because in both mediums and art like you put a lot of yourself out there and that can be scary for anyone, especially when they're not used to it. And so yeah, my main piece of advice would be like just to get into that class because once you like make that first step, the next thing just comes with it, and you just keep following whatever. Like if it's too uncomfortable, like you push through it. Yeah, you need to start first. So just do it.
Awesome. Well, that's everything that I've got for today. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you. And
Thank
thank you to everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time.